Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Sports Show with your host, Jamie Davies. And for the next hour, well, we're doing what we always do. We're going to be talking about sports. And what a week it's been, especially in football, because Arsene Wenger is no more. No, he's not gone. He's retiring. Don't worry. He is still on this planet for the next few years at least. But no, he has announced his retirement. That's going to be our reaction to his retirement. Was it the right move by Arsenal Football Club? And of course, we're going to talk about the PFA Player of the Wizards. Yes, we got it right. Mo Salah is the winner. And plenty more sports coming up on the Let's Talk Sports Show on Calon 105 F. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Sports Show on Calon 105 FM with Jamie Davies, Conor Porter, and Joe Stanley. Now, we have to start the show with this because it was big news on Friday morning when, of course, all the media revealed that Arsene Wenger has, well, not retired. He is going to leave Arsenal.
You're lying already in your intro. That's not good.
I didn't, did I?
Yeah, you said he was retired.
Did I say he was retired? Oh dear.
It
just feels like he's retiring though, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Because of how, because of how old he is, but how many years he's been at Arsenal, and you just feel like, what else has he got to prove? But anyway, well, he is going to leave Arsenal. It could be going to another club come this summer. But, you know, it is a bit of a shock, but, you know, the fans have been talking about it for a few years now. We have been seeing a lot on YouTube, including that YouTube channel, Arsenal Fan TV, which has done wonders in terms of viewership. And
they're out of business now.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are they going to do? What are they going to do when Wenger leaves? I felt sorry for their host, Robbie. He'll be wondering, what's he going to do now?
Good lad, Robbie is.
Yeah, imagine if they win every game now. No one's going to watch their reactions because they'll all be positive. But anyway, what do you think about this, Conor? Because I guess, like I just said, the fan reactions on Twitter, you know, that hashtag of Wenger out was a trend at one point, and it was everywhere, and funny jokes, funny pictures, you name it. It's. Do you really think, like, the fans of what they've been saying has gone into this and made Arsenal think about Wenger's position? I feel like their influence might have changed it.
See, I don't think this is Wenger's decision. I think this is the board bringing in a new change into the football club. Been there for 22 years now, but really over the past, 10 or so years, it's only had 3 or 4 FA Cups. Not a lot of success really brought into what is considered one of the best football clubs in England. Yeah. And, you know, you see Tottenham now, they're on the rise. With Pochettino, of course, you know, in the past 4 years, they haven't won a trophy, but they've got closer to winning the league than what Arsenal have done, despite the fact that, you know, Arsenal finished second and whatnot. Because in truth, be honest, Tottenham have only really slipped up. It's never been Arsenal playing better football. It's been Tottenham slipping up, and that's the reason why Arsenal's always managed to finish ahead of Tottenham in some of the recent times. But, you know, you can't ignore what Arsene Wenger's done at the football club as well. Most successful manager at the football club over the years, the 22 years that he's been. 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups, 7 Community Shields, if you want to count them. But, you know, only Fergie's won more Premier League games than him in the Premier League history. So, you know, you can't ignore what he's managed to do at Arsenal Football Club. But when you look at the situation and you look at the timing and you look at how it was dealt with, the way that it was approached to by Arsene Wenger, it was pretty much out of the blue. Didn't feel like it was planned. Didn't feel like it was organised whatsoever, because the media team, if you watched on the day, the Arsenal media team, they really didn't have a lot of content ready to go straight away. No. And if it was a pre-planned decision, that maybe they would have been given a heads up like a day before so they could prepare all this stuff. But it was like a good 2 or 3 hours before they started posting out videos and pictures of old Arsene Wenger press conferences and things like that when he first arrived, and like some of the key signings like Vieira and Henry coming into the football club. So looking at how it is, I think that this is definitely a decision by the board to move him on. They've addressed it like it's him leaving the football club out of respect. The Sun as well said something like he's been paid off 11 million to not see out the last year of his contract.
I mean, I've never heard of that newspaper before.
Because
disgraceful paper.
Because you know, he ultimately wanted to stay on. There was no reason for him to leave, especially if they go on to win the Europa League this season. Obviously now times have changed and Arsenal Football Club need to catch up with the rest of the pack. All right, because of United and Chelsea and City and Liverpool now with Klopp, how they've managed to build some sort of structure underneath him at the football club there now. they need to change to the times around them, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of appointment that they make, because this will be the first appointment of Stan Kroenke and I forget who the Ivan. I forget his name. I know it's Ivan Vasilidis. That's the one.
An important guy either way.
Yeah. Two of the biggest names now at Arsenal Football Club are those two guys, and they're building the future now for this football club. It's going to be one without Arsene Wenger. It should be one without Arsene Wenger for the next couple of years in order to give the new manager a chance. Because if you're giving Arsene Wenger like a director of football role, it's not going to really be much change around the football club, I don't think. Who this new manager is going to come in and be like, it's hard to think about at the moment, because we've had no clear indication as to what Arsenal wants really from them as a board. It's been a lot of names been talked about. Luis Enrique from Barcelona, Brendan Rodgers from Celtic, Ancelotti, who's out of work at the moment, Thomas Tuchel, former Borussia Dortmund manager, Diego Simeone as well at Atletico Madrid, who are Arsenal's next opponents in the league. He's been linked a long time now. Yeah, and if they got someone like Simeone, and that would be a complete different change of culture, because he is not like Arsene Wenger one bit. So this next appointment for Arsenal is arguably the biggest decision that they'll make in the last 22 years.
Joe, it's funny because when it was announced, it did feel like, well, it was never expected, because when Arsene Wenger's been at the club in the last few years, we just thought he's never going to go unless he goes on his terms, and that's what it's felt like. But and Conor's absolutely right. His legacy in my eyes will never be a bad one, because of what he's done. He's not just changed Arsenal, he's changed English football as well.
Of course, but it's always going to be tarnished a little bit with the way it's ended with the fans, to be honest. Obviously, I do think they were a little bit over the top with their protests. All right, they've not been as good as they should be, Arsenal Football Club, but it should have shown Arsene Wenger a lot more respect, in my opinion, than the fans. That's
the thing, isn't it? Because you look at, they keep comparing, don't they, Wenger and Fergie, because they were long-term managers for two successful clubs. But you didn't see that at Man United, did you? You didn't see protest against Fergie. Okay, he was successful most of the time, but, there was patches.
I think that's the reason why. Just for the fact that Fergie was able to be consistent over a long-term basis, whereas for Arsene Wenger, it was mainly up until around about 2007, 2008 when things did start to drop off a little bit.
And that's just when the stadium
move, because that took a lot of their budget out, really. It affected how they performed in the early part of the years.
Couldn't sign anyone.
It wasn't really until when they signed Ozil that they really looked like they could potentially get back into the picture, but nothing really followed up after that. And that was one of the main reasons why Arsenal were in the picture that they were, which is why this appointment is so important for not only for Arsenal Football Club, but for the manager coming in as well. They need to know from the board that they're going to get the financial support that they require in order to inset their vision to the best of the ability that they're allowed to. Because if you're only bringing in a player that's going to not do a decent job as what a top player in that position could do, and you're talking about a football club like Arsene Wenger like Arsenal, trying to get back into the Champions League, and they're only bringing in bit part players, then it's not good enough. And it's definitely going to be a change of scenery now at Arsenal, because there's a lot of players at that football club that were Arsene Wenger buys, and they're not going to be suitable for the next manager that comes in. But it's an interesting job pick, that's for certain. And the new manager that comes in is going to need at least a year to get his ideology in, because of how long Arsene Wenger's been now at that football club. 22 years and setting in his way of thinking, his way of playing football. You need to give that new manager at least a year, maybe even two, to decide how he wants to play and how he should move on Arsenal Football Club moving forwards, and to get them back into Champions League football for starters if they don't get to the Europa League final this year or win that trophy. And then ultimately onwards from that would be back to competing for the title.
Thing is, I love it when they say give these managers time, and I agree they do need to get given time. Moyes sadly didn't get that time at United.
That is the worry, really.
But I can't see there being time if it doesn't go right for them.
It is the worry, because you want success. Arsenal, you want success straight away. Arsenal ultimately is a bigger business football club than Manchester United, because United's on the stock exchange, so they don't have owners, in a sense. They have chairmen and the Glaziers, and they decide where the money goes and that. But they don't essentially have owners, because it's all coming in.
They don't just do windows.
Stock exchange. So, yeah. Whereas Arsenal's a bit different, because they do have owners and they do have fans say in it, but they don't have a lot of money pumping into that football club. Whereas United's now just got around to spending that money to get back into that picture. That is the main concern for me, is whether or not Arsenal will start to spend money to compete. Because if they don't, then they're not going to be anywhere near the title. That's the thing.
I mean, Joe, when you look at it, it's surely, I mean, I don't know if you're just like, well, I am. I think Conor is as well. Where do you feel, since Wenger is going to leave, do you want them to win the Europa League now? Because this is the perfect setup. This is the perfect way for him to leave Arsenal. Because last year we all thought he was going to go after he won the FA Cup against Chelsea, their biggest rival in London, and winning the trophy that Arsene Wenger was the most successful with. Now he's going for a trophy that the club's never won before. So surely many England fans, depending on if they're Arsenal fans, we would love to actually see Wenger end it all on a high.
Yeah, it's one of those, obviously, for Arsene Wenger, it'd be nice for him to win it, for them to win it, because obviously the previous European trophy was the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah, and that was a very long time ago.
Yeah, a very long time ago.
Before Wenger.
I don't believe the club deserve it, personally.
you
The
don't?
club itself, but Arsene Wenger does himself. If that makes any sense. That's how I look at it.
I like how you said that, yes.
Wenger himself deserves it, because what he's done, how well he's managed Arsenal all these years, the loyalty, because he's had plenty of opportunities to go. There's been rumours of Barcelona interested in him, Real Madrid, PSG. England national team wanted him at one point.
Yeah.
He said no to all of them, and he stayed at Arsenal Football Club. As David Dean said, the former chairman on the TV the other day, he lives for this football club.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now when he leaves? Apparently he's had David Dean's had phone calls from various big clubs. We'll see who that is. Gary Neville was saying that they've already got the replacement lined up, he believes, for Wenger.
Oh, really?
And in place, they're just not going to announce it until end of season.
Oh, that'll
but
be
it makes
interesting.
me wonder who that's going to be.
Yeah, I agree with that point, because, of this timing, it's once again the timing issue of how this situation's been dealt with.
Do you think even before this Wenger announcement, do you guys believe that the club has been speaking to who?
Absolutely.
Already.
Absolutely.
Clubs always do that. They always talk to other.
It really is a backstabber, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's how clubs.
But when you got a guy
left,
left, sorry, Joe. When you got a guy left with 1 year on his contract and he's not been doing too well over the past few years, and you've already got the fans not behind him whatsoever. He's a club legend.
And empty seats.
Yeah, he's a club legend. Show him some respect, which is what the Arsenal board has done by allowing him to address the situation as I'm going to leave and not be sacked. Because if he said no, then 100% guaranteed they probably would have sacked him at the end of the season, and it wouldn't have been the ending to how he would
especially when they've got
Arsenal.
that backup as well.
Yeah,
it is a strange situation, but I mean that's the thing with Arsene Wenger. It's actually, you mentioned the England job.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I honestly feel though, if Southgate doesn't do very well, because they won't.
No.
Sorry, England I can see them not even making the knockout stage. That's how much I have confidence for my team. But I honestly think Gareth Southgate could go, and if Arsene Wenger was available, give him the job.
I honestly don't know how much different he would be though from Southgate.
I just football-wise, massive.
Well, the problem is, it's not like England's another Premier League side, is it? They could easily share stuff with him, and you've got coaches constantly that do international and club level football. I'm pretty certain at one point Gareth Southgate's had a talk with Arsene Wenger, especially with the form of Jack Wilshere, and looking at the likes of Calon Chambers potentially breaking into the squad at one point, and Danny Welbeck.
Nearly said Oxlade-Chamberlain.
I nearly said Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I was going to say Alex Iwobi as well, but I remember that he was Nigerian. But he nearly got called up for England at one point. So he's definitely had talks with him at least over the past few years whilst he's had the job. So I don't know how different it would be. And if anything, it might be more of the same of what we had.
I'd feel. I would say this now as an England fan. I'd be excited if it did happen.
Don't get me wrong. Arsene Wenger, what he's managed to achieve, I'll be looking forward to what he can do. But I just don't think it'd be that different.
I think big name appointment, though, isn't it? You look at the top nations; they always have big name managers.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I remember when Fabio Capello happened. And
Fabio Capello was a big appointment.
But my problem was with the whole thing was that he couldn't speak English. So straight away I thought, how is this a communication thing? I know people can say translators, he'll learn English and all that, and I'm just thinking that's not the point. The point is that we should either have an English manager or someone from a different country that can speak fluent English and is proved to be successful.
My problem with Capello was he was too busy banning tomato ketchup and not focusing on the
Oh, he was rubbish. I'm sorry, he was absolute rubbish for England. I mean, we got absolutely tarnished. We couldn't even beat USA, couldn't even beat Algeria in the World Cup. I'm sorry. And we only just beat Slovenia to make it to the knockout stages, and then we got knocked out by Germany 4-1. It was one of the worst managers we ever had. And I felt ashamed, actually, because this is why I'll say this now about overseas managers. Yes, I'm open to it, but bring in someone who actually has done English football as well. This is why I always say Wenger could be a good one because he knows English football. Mourinho's done it as well. Pep Guardiola's now getting experience in it.
Jose Mourinho was very close to taking the England job.
He
when
was.
He gave it to Fabio Capello. I was reading his book before he was United manager. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was Mourinho.
Hey, he tried to steal your Gerrard, remember?
Yeah, he did try to steal our Stevie. And he was saying he was a matter of weeks away from getting the appointment, and then the FA basically turned around and made some sort of comment about picking the players, and he was like, well, I want to be in charge, I want to pick the players, I'm not having this. So decided to turn down the opportunity, and they went for Capello, because it was him and Scolari that were the two choices.
Scolari, yes,
and then
I
both
remember.
of them turned England down because the FA were saying, well, we want our say on the players. And they turned around and said, but the manager's job is to pick the team. The manager's job is to pick the players and to do the tactics, not, oh, you tell me to pick this player, so I have to pick him. And that's the problem with the FA. They're like yes men, and that's the problem with Gareth Southgate. He'll
I mean,
don't get me wrong, he's a nice guy and stuff, and he's not a bad manager, but he's just going to do whatever the FA say in the summer.
Yeah,
if they say pick Jack Wilshere, despite him being injured, like Roy Hodgson did.
You see, that's the thing, because I do have I mean, we could go on about this. We will have to cut it short, but I do have a lot of respect for Southgate, in which he has tried out new players to the team. He's looking.
Think about the fact that he brought in three at the back. I mean, what kind of manager is he? That's why I don't think he'd be that different from Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I mean, well, all I could say is for Southgate is that he's tried out players already, which is good to see. Whether or not it works out, we'll find out in the summer. But I mean, don't worry, we'll be talking about the squad selection on Let's Talk Sport when that happens.
PFA Awards last night, Manish or whatever it was, who was been.
Oh yeah, the host.
He turned around and said to him, "Oh, no Pizza Huts this year, trying to take the mick." And Gareth Southgate's response was, "When you've made as many mistakes as I have in my lifetime, you just stop worrying about it." He said, "I've told the players in the summer, go and express yourself, enjoy yourself, and let's see how far we can go." He said, "If you fail, you fail. It's part of life."
I mean, I'll add to that because that's how I feel as an England fan going into this World Cup. I'm not expecting anything. It is one of those. Anyway, we could talk about it all day. From Arsene Wenger to Gareth Southgate here on Let's Talk Sport. We are going to have a music break. And, of course, we just had Avicii there with Levels. And, we are saddened to hear about his death that happened on Friday. But, 28, so young. But an incredible DJ, and his music will live on. Anyway, we'll be right back on the Let's Talk Sport show after a bit of Sit Down from James. Just James, not Hamas, James. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Sport show. So we talked about Arsene Wenger, and now we move on to last night's PFA Player of the Year awards, and a great little celebration for English football over the last few months of the season. And if you did catch our YouTube channel, remember you can subscribe to Let's Talk Sport on our YouTube channel. Just search for us and then click that big button. Well, it's quite small, but click subscribe. Don't miss it. You can like our videos, but we would much appreciate more if you click subscribe. Thank you very much. We actually did a preview. I was with Conor and Joe for this. I asked them for their nominations to win, and they both went for Mo Salah. So did I. And we were absolutely spot on. High five, lads. Come on, high five. Give me a high five. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Conor gave me one there. No. Yeah, they didn't catch that one on camera, did they?
No.
But Mo Salah won as expected. And, I think Kevin De Bruyne will accept it because he knows he's had a great season, but Mo Salah's had just a better season for what he's done for Liverpool as well. I mean, it is an incredible season for Mo Salah, isn't it? We were in the pub last summer during the Confederations Cup. I remember it was Mexico, New Zealand, and we were talking about Mo Salah because on that very day, that's when Liverpool announced the signing. And I said he had moments at Chelsea where he was good, but you never know. It's a cheap buy if it works out well. And you thought it was a good signing as well, Conor. So look at how it's changed. He's become one of the best players in a single Premier League season.
Yeah, a lot of people doubt. I remember a lot of people talking to me about this because I sometimes still watch a lot of European football, and a lot of people were asking, what kind of player is Salah like these days? Because not a lot of people had seen a lot of him since he was at his Chelsea days. And
that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I asked people, well, what do you think about Paulo Dybala then at Juventus? And they're like, oh yeah, he's a really good player. He should move to the Premier League one day, and I think he could be, the next big star in Argentina. I was like, well, Mo Salah, when he was at Roma, he had the same scoring and assist record as Dybala. So if you think Dybala's a decent player, then Salah's going to be a decent player as well at Liverpool. And a lot of people were like, oh no, it's because Premier League's more difficult than Serie A. They were quick to dismiss Salah because he was becoming a Liverpool player, but not really for Dybala because he was still playing for Juventus and getting those kind of records. But not to be a big ego kind of guy, but I kind of saw like Mo Salah was going to do well at Liverpool, but I didn't think he would do as well as this. I didn't think he would be starting breaking records in his first season.
You saw the future.
I honestly didn't think that he would break the 20-goal mark. I think he was going to be,
I
one
thought
of
he was
those.
going to be more of an assist king.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be more of a player that would be a provider, and get into the high teens in terms of scoring, because that's what he was kind of like at Serie A. Serie A is a bit of an easier league than the Premier League because it's not as consistent in terms of levels. But I thought he was still going to be a decent player, but not to the levels at this. Whether or not he can continue on and be consistent enough to, score 30 goals again next season, I'm gonna go down a little bit and say maybe 20s, low 20s, mid 20s at least. But I don't think he can get 30 goals again next season. Just to the sheer fact that this is how I'm approaching it. Remember when Mahrez was, really good at Leicester during their title-winning season, and he was getting into near the 20s from scoring from the wing. And then after that, he kind of like gradually gone down a little bit, and now he's in like to the more teens and things like that. I don't think it's going to be the same with Salah at Liverpool because of the players that he's got around him, whereas Mahrez, really, he's only got Vardy as the other threat in that Leicester squad, whereas Salah, he's got Firmino, and he's got Oxlade-Chamberlain and Mane, and Wijnaldum when he plays decent. All players that can be potential goal scorers and goal-scoring threats and providers. So those are players that defenses have to watch around. So Salah's still going to get that kind of space. Obviously, he's going to get a lot more attention, though, because teams are going to know how to deal against him, to know the perfect conditions, how to play against him, of course. We mentioned earlier about the conditions at West Bromwich Albion, being dry and counteracting against how Liverpool like to play fast break on the break. And I think Salah's had a great season for Liverpool and he deserves the award. But let's see now he's able to bring that into consistency and be more than, a one-season wonder, and actually bring it to more consistency. And I think consistently level now would be getting 20 goals a season moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about the season after, because you can celebrate now and then that could be your finest.
But it's like Jurgen Klopp said in the video that they sent to the thing. He said, "Congratulations, Salah, but you got a game on Tuesday, so come back as quick as you can."
Yeah,
that's what it is, really. It's like, congratulations, you got the award, celebrate it for a few hours, but you got another game to focus on, and that's the right attitude, really. And hopefully Salah follows on that attitude to not only just the Champions League game later this week, but also on to next season as well.
That's what he said in his speech.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, you obviously Mo Salah. There's not anything to dislike about him either. He's doing a lot for his country because obviously a lot of footballers earn a lot of money like Mo Salah, but he's a man who gives back to his community, back from where he lives. The guy's been incredible all season, and he just keeps scoring. He scored on Saturday. I mean, he can't get anything wrong. I mean, the PFA award may be the first trophy of this season. Champions League could be next month. Joe, it's a big game tomorrow night, but Mo Salah's just been, wow, what a player.
Yeah, you just run out of things to say about Mo, don't you? Let's be honest.
And you said that last week. I'm going to give you more words now.
I know. He's just unbelievable, isn't he, Mo? He's a nice guy, like you said. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mo Salah. He was a fantastic guy when I met him. Talkative, humble.
What's his beard like? Is it quite itchy?
It's good beard.
I'm surprised he's not in any of those Nivea for Men adverts. He's getting like the beard moisturiser on the go.
Instead, it's
I'm sure he will be next season. They'll probably replace him with like with Milner because Milner's probably
and Henderson. No, Milner's got to stay on.
No. I don't. I don't know if Milner's going to stay at that football club.
Yeah,
Do you think he's going to stay?
He's apparently there's talk of him getting a new contract.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Mo Salah. To be honest, when we signed him, I was saying to people because I had a friend of mine who watched him a few years ago. He went to Shrewsbury versus Chelsea because he's a season ticket holder at Shrewsbury, and he said, "Oh, why have we signed him? He was atrocious in that cup time." My response to him was, give him a chance before. You're not even giving him a chance before he's pulled on the red shirt.
Especially when he's got something to prove.
I said he's got something to prove. I said it's like Conor said, 3-4 years since he's played in England. He's a much improved man. I said to him, just pulled off a pile of stats and threw him his way in a WhatsApp message to him. I said, look at this. This is what you want from a player, and £36 million is a bargain.
Yeah.
I said, well, give him a chance. Let's not get carried away. Let's see what he can do. And obviously, he's proven everyone wrong. He's exceeded my expectations. I expect him to get 15 to 20 goals this season.
Yeah.
Maybe 25 in all comps. And then all of a sudden, he's got 41 goals for the season. It's just a magic. He's just a joy to watch. I've watched him play live a few times this season. I just couldn't believe his ability. It's almost like Messi.
Yeah.
But obviously not quite up the top end yet.
Well, I mean, it's stats like that does, get you to a player like Messi's level nearly.
That's the next step.
Message to Real Madrid.
Yeah, but
message
it's
to the
crazy.
other big clubs in Real Madrid.
But
keep away.
You see, this is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting Messi's football. Ronaldo did it in the Premier League, and he showed his football there and got better at La Liga. But this is when I find the La Liga league a little easier to score.
You find me another player that can score 50 goals in a La Liga season.
That's a good point. But I this is why I'd love to see Messi in the Premier League. It's probably never going to happen. But this is why I'd love to see him. I'm not saying he wouldn't score 50 goals in the Premier League. I just would like to see him do the challenge. That's all. Because what Mo Salah's doing as well. I mean, Alan Shearer did it one season. Thierry Henry did it as well. All right, Alan Shearer didn't really move on. Thierry Henry went to Barca and won that Champions League trophy that he nearly won for Arsenal against Barca in 2006. But anyway, it's just little things like that where it makes you think you can compare Salah to Messi. But you only maybe for this season. But, actually, here's a question. I saw this the other day. Who thinks Mo Salah, well, he's going to be in the top 30, I'm sure. Could he make the top 3 of FIFA Ballon d'Or this year if he wins the Champions League?
Yeah.
Definitely?
Yeah. People are saying if he wins it,
he's got to win the Champions League. He's got to win the
Champions League. People are saying he should get the Ballon d'Or. I think if he wins the Champions League, he'll definitely be in the top 3.
Yeah.
I would love him to win it, but it's always Messi Ronaldo's award.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's Kaká. You're looking back at 2008, and Kaká was the last player that wasn't Messi or Ronaldo.
2007.
Or was it 2007?
Yeah.
But you get the point.
Yeah.
That's 11 years ago.
But it's funny because every time these players have won Ballon d'Or, it's because they've won the Champions League.
Yeah.
This is why I keep thinking, well, Frank Ribery, 2013, won the Champions League and everything, and he had an interview recently, and he still wonders to this day how he didn't win the Ballon d'Or, but as you say, Ronaldo and Messi got in the way. Conor, I know it's looking too far forward maybe, but if Salah won the Champions League, could you see him near that trophy?
How many goals has he got in the Champions League this season? Is it 7?
I think he's got 7 or 8.
Yeah. See, that's the main difference, really, because Ronaldo, season after season, he's getting to the mid-teens, high teens in the Champions League on a consistent basis. If Salah goes on and scores, 6 goals in the next 3 games, then, by all means, he might get a chance to winning
He
it.
Probably will now after you just said that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But then also you got the fact as well, if Real Madrid get to the final, then I still think Ronaldo's in a good fair shout because of the fact that, he could break the Champions League single season all-time goal scoring record.
What is the record?
I think it's himself holding it himself with 17, and I think he's level with it now. So I think he's going to pretty much break it. And, if he gets 20 goals in the Champions League, you think about it, that's what six games in the group stages plus another 8 in the knockouts and then 1 in the final. So that's pretty much a goal per game ratio, and that's hard to ignore, really.
Yeah.
When you look at it, and I mean, he's going to be. In my opinion, because of the way that Messi's played in La Liga and helping Barcelona win the title with ease there, he's still within a shout of winning the Ballon d'Or as well. But, you can make the same comparisons with Ronaldo, not performing well in La Liga to how Salah's not performing at the same kind of level that he is in the Premier League because he's not getting that same kind of production in Champions League football. If you understand what I'm saying in that, It's a fair point, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've all got their flaws and they've all got their positives behind them as well. Salah's got that 31 goal record, most scored by any player in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Ronaldo's got that consistency in the Champions League, looking to break the all-time record in a single season. And then Messi's got the fact that, they're able to win the league by storm with Barcelona. So there's pros and cons for each one. It's really tough to call. And, if Salah does go on to win the Champions League, he's got a fair shout of going on to do it.
I think top 3, definitely.
Yeah.
Looking at the players.
I mean, if he's not in the top 3, then there's something wrong.
Well,
really.
I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Because Neymar's not going to get in because he's injured.
Yeah.
Griezmann's not going to get in because they're only in the Europa League.
Yeah.
And who else are you going to consider?
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's
If you
funny.
look at Mo Salah,
Go on, Joe.
the amount of records he's broken this season, or could potentially break, you need, 4 more either goals or assists to break the most goal involvement record in the Premier League.
Yes.
He needs 3 more goals to beat the level the Premier League's most goals in a season for the Premier League. He needs 7 more to break Liverpool's.
I think that 7 might be a bit pushing it.
Goal scoring record for the season, but
Is that all comps?
in all comps,
Yeah, you could do it then.
Maybe, yeah.
With,
This is what happens when you don't play for the treble.
It's unbelievable. The
Could have had more
records-
goals.
You should be playing 50 games a season.
Yeah,
That's
come
what you should be
on.
doing.
Come on, Mo.
But if you
Well,
think-
actually, they've probably got over 50 games. More like 60 games.
we'll see what happens, but I hope he's up there. He deserves.
Well, I'll say this now. This is when I don't like FIFA, because in 2016, Mahrez and Vardy were in the top 30.
Yeah.
And Kante was nowhere to be seen. I did not, and to this day, still do not understand that, but okay. He did get it the year after, though, when he won the league for Chelsea. Anyway, we must have a music break. I mean, Mo Salah is the Egyptian king. We don't have a crown for you, Mo. It's in the post somewhere. We did give it to Joe in his trip to Liverpool when he met you, but he lost it. I know, Joe, I mean, come on. You had one job.
I kept it.
Is it engraved?
Yeah.
That's all right then.
Can
At
I
least it'll
just-
be remembered somewhere.
Yeah. Can I just say that song "Sit Down"?
Oh, yes.
before, that was a tribute to Mo Salah
Yeah,
from me,
yeah.
because obviously the song is his song "Mo Salah Running Down the Wing." It's the same tune as that, so that's why I played that just as a little tribute to Magic Mo.
And I'm sure for many of you listeners, you'll know that song from In the Football Grounds at any football game. It is a very popular stadium soundtrack. Anyway, we're going to have a music break, and then when we come back, we'll be looking back at last weekend's FA Cup semi-finals. Oh, I'm so happy. I wonder why a certain red team is going to be in the final. We'll be right back. Well, that was a banging tune, wasn't it? Anyway, welcome to Calon FM. And if you're wondering, that was... me and Conor had this debate on how do we call it. The artist is called Maiden? Is it Maiden? What did we say?
Madion.
Madion.
And we said Icardi.
Icardi, even though it's Icarus or something like that. I've got that song on my iPod, and you think I'd know it after so many years, but no.
Is it Madian?
I think you're probably right. I think that's what Connor said.
I said my Dion. My Dion in a Icarus.
In an Icarus way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what Icarus means.
Neither
but
do I.
Something to check the dictionary app. Joe, just in a very unprofessional way. Is that camera on?
Yes.
Oh, is it recording?
Yes.
That's all right. Just make sure.
One step ahead.
One step ahead, Joe. You're one step ahead. We're going to talk about the FA Cup semi-finals because it was a very hot weekend, and it was a very hot one for Manchester United, wasn't it? Because they certainly put the heat on Tottenham Hotspur after they could not win a game at home. It was just a typical game at home for Tottenham. The only occasion that was bigger than that was that they had to beat Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-finals. Tottenham are known for never winning an FA Cup semi-final now. They've done it for 10 times they failed in a row or something like that. I don't know the stats, but Pochettino, yet again, it's in a way, it's a shame because for a manager who's got a great squad in front of him, it's going to end another season with no trophy. And Mourinho, mastermind. He got it absolutely spot on. It's another game that, as a United fan, I look at and think, how did we win that? I don't know. It was a great game, but Herrera kicked the ball out of nowhere and it just went in. But yet again, Vorm is the exact reason to why, an exact example to why he is a reserve goalkeeper. Joe Stanley, a great win for Manchester United. I know it's great for you, Joe. But yet again, Mourinho gets all this criticism, but there's still a trophy for the end of the season. If he wins it, obviously.
Well, exactly. He's a serial winner. That's what Jose is.
I like that.
He is. He's a serial winner. He finds a way to win trophies. Might not be pretty football all the time, but he's always there. He's always there and about, competing for trophies. You won, was it 3 last season?
Yeah. Well, if you count the Shield.
Well, still technically
The
counts.
poor
as a
man's
trophy.
treble.
And then
Yeah.
you won the Carabao Cup. It was the EFL then, but
Yeah,
Carabao,
yeah.
and you won the Europa. So
Yeah.
first time you'd won that. There's still trophies at the end of the
But
day.
this is, I mean, we've had this argument before. This is when I've always stuck behind Mourinho, because I said this in our preview, which you can find on YouTube if you really want to watch it before a game that's already finished. But I said this to you in the preview. Mourinho gets these big results now and again because he's done it with Chelsea. He's done it with Inter Milan. He's done it with Real Madrid.
Shame we couldn't do it against Seville.
Yeah, that's a shame.
What a player.
but literally, like, because I remember in 2010, Inter Milan winning at Barca against Pep Guardiola. That was a massive win. To
down
not
the touchline, didn't
yeah,
he? He
to
ran down
not
the pitch with
to
his
not
finger.
let Barcelona score in their own ground was an incredible game for them. He did it for Chelsea against Man City in 2014 when Chelsea nearly won the title when they beat Man City at the Etihad.
Yeah.
And he's doing it again in the last few months. We beat Man City at their place. Okay, yeah, I agree. It was a pointless win because but this was for pride. We beat Liverpool recently. We beat Tottenham just before.
Lost
We
to
beat
West Brom.
lost to West Brom. Only the big teams we beat now, and then we lose to the little teams.
Welcome to Liverpool's club.
Yeah. But and then we obviously came back from 1-0 down to beat Chelsea as well recently. So I'm just saying that. I'm just putting it out there. That's when Mourinho. That's what United wanted from Mourinho, a manager that does get results out of really ugly games, you could say, and he did it again on Saturday. But again, Conor, Tottenham, no trophies. It must be so frustrating to be a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I mean, it must be frustrating for Pochettino as well, because
Yeah.
what does he have to do in order to get this right, really, at the football club? 4 years there
Do you
now.
think move on?
Perhaps,
Midfield's
maybe after
calling.
next season, one season in the new stadium. Let's see how that goes first.
that's
I think
true.
he wants to see that out first, but he must have that. Must be thinking that in his mind at the very least as to what the future could be for him in the next few years. But yeah, Spurs flop again. It's like it's a consistent storyline for Tottenham Hotspur. They constantly said about how they're going to become the new big team in North London and take over Arsenal. But they haven't managed to do that. Arsenal, on the other hand, have managed to at least get 3 FA Cups in the last 10 years. But, Tottenham haven't done anything since they won the League Cup all those years ago.
Yeah.
And really, it comes down to how they approach the game. And Tottenham, they allowed United to play that they wanted to play. And, Mourinho is usually the kind of guy that sits back and defends and, parks the bus, as a lot of people say, park the bus. Man United play football the Mourinho way, all that. But, this time around against Tottenham, there was a bit more attacking flair to it. And, they were hitting Tottenham on the counter-attack with Sanchez playing an amazing game, probably his best game in the United shirt so far this season.
Oh, yeah.
And
without a doubt.
Jesse Lingard having a good game, and Lukaku just unfortunate not to score on the occasion as well. So, and you mentioned Herrera as well. So many players in this United squad. Pogba as well.
You mentioned Lingard.
Yeah.
And what I like about Mourinho is that he's tried him out ahead of Mata, Rashford, you name it, all those players on that bench.
Well,
And
Martial's probably going in the summer now.
Martial as well. And Lingard's been performing when Mourinho has put him out there, which just shows he's put a lot of faith into him and it's paid off.
Yeah, he's an incredible player, really, and it's a good prospect for England in the future. He played well in the friendlies against Holland, and I think he might have only played against Italy.
No, you're right. No, he scored against Holland.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, he's played well, and he's doing well under Mourinho. He's finally getting the opportunities, pushing forward. So it's great to see that in an English talent, really, because United really haven't had a good English player in the midfield since Paul Scholes were at the football club, really. They've had Rooney, but he's dropped back because of the age and not being able to, be that kind of striker for United. But, Lingard's looking like this fantastic Englishman in the midfield that could stay there for the next 10 years or so under the right kind of management. And Mourinho so far is looking like the right kind of manager to keep him at the football club.
And obviously as well, you mentioned Paul Pogba. The latest news we've just checked online is that Paul Pogba has said he's got no problems with Jose Mourinho. All this news stuff coming out, as journalists always do, they've put words in people's mouths. Joe, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not been the easiest of rides for Paul Pogba, but he did it on Saturday again in another big game. I mean, surely he's staying for another season. I don't know why this rumour's coming out.
I don't know. Sometimes there is fuel to it just adds fuel to the fire. Maybe it's been leaked out by someone who was trying to see whether Pogba, there's any truth in it, or just trying to unsettle United a little bit. I'm not sure. But obviously, he's been putting big performances in recently since those rumours, because the rumours come out before the City game, didn't they? In the week, saying something about the City were offered him in the window.
Yes, yeah.
And Guardiola. And then he turned up with a blue stripe in his hair, which I think was a little bit of a dig. Which made me laugh. Scores 2 goals in the Manchester derby. United win that. And then since then, he's had some good performances. He played well at the weekend, controlled the midfield. Obviously, when Tottenham took the lead, I thought, hello, here we go. Could something be on here?
Well, that's the thing. That's when I thought Tottenham could be the favourites.
Well, they were dominating early on, weren't they?
Yeah.
And
United were nowhere near.
I thought, here we go, Tottenham, just keep on doing what you're doing. And then they just seemed to take the foot off the gas. And then
confidence
United
really
come
gone.
in. Sanchez got his Wembley goal because he scored in every visit to Wembley.
Yeah.
For both clubs. And then
good header.
Yeah, it was,
And international games as well.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
was a brilliant header. And then United just took control from there, and Tottenham didn't really have a clue on how to deal with you.
Well, I'd love to talk more about United, but we will move on. They're in the final. We'll talk about the other semi-final yesterday. A bit less exciting. Well, Chelsea had to go up against Southampton a week after they were 2-0 down at St. Mary's and won 3-2. And that was thanks to 2 goals from Giroud. And he did it again, the Frenchman, yesterday, opening the lead before Morata, who's actually shown up for once, has scored for Chelsea to deny Southampton that FA Cup final. But, Conor, this is what I guess neutral football fans wanted, was to see a Man United-Chelsea final, the first time together in the FA Cup final in 2007. And who was manager of Chelsea when they beat United?
Jose.
Yeah.
Didier Drogba with a 113th minute winner, I think.
Was that when he scored that free kick?
No, it's when he lobbed it, flicked it
was
over
it Alex
Van der
that
Sar.
scored the free kick?
No.
It was
I
1-0.
must be thinking about it.
Alex, you see, Alex wasn't that great. He couldn't score against United.
No. He had a thunderous shot, though, from a free kick to the defender.
Those free kicks were so... Yeah. I would hate to be the goalkeeper in front of it.
That one against us in the Champions League semi-final.
Oh, was that when it was like 4-4 at Stamford Bridge? That was a crazy game. Great game. Anyway, but yeah, Chelsea had to just get the job done, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Hazard's phenomenal throughout the game, and so was Giroud. The important goal to get the game going. Beautiful footwork in the box as well to keep it out of his feet in order to get around the defender. I think 4 or 5 Southampton defenders fell over whilst trying to get towards him, and McCarthy couldn't get anywhere near him either. And then he just taps it into the back of the net, and he just equals money for Chelsea really, because he's coming on at the key moments. Southampton last weekend, and Southampton want more this weekend. So if they're playing Southampton every week, then stick Giroud on, he's score a couple of goals for you, but. He's been great for Chelsea, and it really questions to whether or not they should be going ahead with Morata and starting him ahead in the FA Cup final ahead of Giroud, because Giroud looks like he's got a better partnership with more of the players on the field, whereas Morata, I think it's something like 7 of his assists so far this season have come from Azpilicueta. And the same again on Sunday with his goal there on that occasion. So 46.6% of his 15 goals from Chelsea in all competitions have come from that Spanish connection between Morata and Azpilicueta. So, it's an interesting statistic, but then again, it shows as to how inconsistent really Morata can be and how he has been so far this season, because he's not really been the buy that a lot of people were expecting in the summer.
It is funny in the summer because it was all about United being linked to Morata and then Chelsea being linked to Lukaku, then they swapped round, and really... maybe United would probably be happy with Lukaku at the moment, but there hasn't been much of a gap. It's a weird comparison. Anyway, we'll move on. I know it's early days, but it's one of those finals, isn't it? It could be a very exciting final. Last year was exciting as well, where Chelsea didn't win. Conte this time has got a second chance to do, and he needs this cup, doesn't he?
I mean, both of them really need the cup for the end of the season.
But they don't like each other.
They don't like
this
each
is
other.
proper rivalry. This.
Yeah, it's going to be an entertaining cup final when it does take place next month, and I really can't call it at the moment because they're two decent sides.
And it could change in the next few weeks.
It could change in the next few weeks for certain. So yeah, it's going to be a really close game. But my biggest takeaway from this, though, is that Burnley are going on a European tour.
Yes, we are. It's, you know what? It's great to see, actually. It's great to see a team like Burnley actually experience it next season. I mean, you know, we've seen the likes of Wigan experience Europa League as well. And, you know, they deserve it. You know, incredible football all season. Well, it's the fact that they've been consistent at it as well. And that draw at Stoke yesterday, that was a great result for them as well. But obviously Stoke as well are most likely going to go down now after that result. Southampton could join them.
Davis.
So, yeah, sorry to my dad, Ian Davies. He was kind of expected it, but didn't want to actually see the confirmation. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but it's very well much down the road. Anyway, the FA Cup final, is May the 19th. No, you are not going to watch with your miss. No, you're not going to watch the Royal Wedding with your missus. You stay at home and watch that FA Cup final. Be a good boy. And Prince William, we understand that you will be at Wembley. You're going to Wembley. You've got no options.
He's got to take his newborn kid as well. You know.
As we speak.
After a footballer, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Gabriel Agbonlahor?
I don't know. it has been born.
You know they have the.
Has he been born?
Yeah, he's been born.
News has come in. Let's Talk Sport. It's called Let's Talk Royal Family now. Anyway, before we wrap up, we'll move on. The World Snooker Championship started on Saturday at the Crucible. And, of course, a few weeks ago, we did have Ross Tomlinson on, who, of course, is a local snooker coach. And we did preview the World Championship. And I remember him saying, if you're going to put a bet on, put on Sean Murphy because, okay, he hasn't won the World Championship since 2007 or 6. No, 6. And the odds looked really good for him as an outsider. But I really think this weekend was a bit of a surprise one because Mark Selby lost. And this is a man who's won the last 2 World Championships. So a defeat to him at the Crucible wasn't since 2015 when he was trying to defend for the first time then. The Crucible curse happened that year. And then Ronnie O'Sullivan, well, he was 4 behind on Saturday night. And then something tells me that when Mark Selby was knocked out, he had that hunger to turn it around against Maguire and win that first round match. But he's still got a few rounds yet to win and win the World Championship for the first time in 5 years. Can he get that 6th World Championship? We'll find out in a couple of weeks' time. Anyway, we're going to have to wrap up here. It's been
Congrats to Mo Farah.
Congrats. Sorry, yes. And Mo Farah. There's been so much football. Mo Farah, we congratulate you, third. Can I just say, to anyone who's criticising Mo Farah over from track to road, to say that third isn't good enough after he left the track last summer.
Record.
And a British record as well. I'm sorry, you do not know how difficult it is to go out there. I don't do marathons, but I'm sure they wouldn't want to. It's an incredible achievement. Well done, Mo Farah. And well done to Conor and Joe for their contributions to the show this week. They'll be back on with me next week. And, of course, we've got a lot more sport to talk about next week. Can Liverpool make the Champions League final? Well, part 1 takes place tomorrow night. And we will be previewing those on our YouTube channel. It's goodbye from us. See you later.